Good morning, everyone. 8:15, almost Friday. We're all wearing blue.
Right. I know. Why are we all feeling blue today?
We're not synced up, though, right? We're synced up, and we have the new heels on too. Let's show the heels.
We didn't have the same kind of shoe. Don't get too close.
Look at that. We were all on the same page. Must have been that phone call I sent to y'all at 2 a.m.
Just kidding. I get that question all the time. Do you guys coordinate outfits?
Never.
It's never. Sometimes we just all get in the same headspace because we're with each other more than our own husbands and partners, right?
True.
And we're with all of you every day at 8:15. So thank you for joining us here on Extra Shot. We do have a special ticket giveaway coming up.
Yes,
we'll get to that. Marcus Allen's in Modesto. Again, we'll get to that in a second. So stick with us through the first two topics.
Yeah.
The first one, I don't know if you guys have heard or if you've seen the video, but let me break it down first, and then we'll show the video, and then we'll react. So in Denver, a local high school is under investigation because a freshman cheerleader was forced to do the splits. I guess when I first heard that, I thought, okay, I was forced to do the splits when I was a cheerleader growing up.
Part of it, yeah.
And I was in gymnastics because you never want to be in pain, but you got to learn, right, to flex your hips. But it's how severe that they were forcing her down into the splits. And again, we'll show the video in a second, but just know that 5 of the school officials are suspended at this point. Yeah. The school is under investigation. The girl who was forced down into the splits has now spoken out with her mother, along with 2 other girls, talking about the culture of this certain cheer squad. So let's go ahead and play the video. Just know it's tough to watch, so if you need to turn away. Yeah, but here we go. Let's roll it. No.
You're gonna make it worse.
Need her inhaler.
So you hear her.
I get chills. I have chills listening to it again.
And because again, I can identify with that girl. Going down and doing the splits, it's something you want to achieve, right? You want to be on the same level as everyone else. And maybe for her hips are just a little tighter and they have to force her down. And you hear the encouragement of the peers, right? I don't think, when I see this, I'm like, were the peers intending to hurt her? I don't see it like that. I don't think so as them being, come on, you're making it worse, you're making it worse. Like, you've got this, girl, you've got this. The coach pushing her down, I think he should have known better. If a girl's asking to stop, you need to listen, you need to stop. That's where I have a problem with this comes in, is because of how much pain she was in.
He is holding the aggressive force of how his hands were on her arms. Her body was physically unable to get to that level, and he had to grasp on and yank her down. And for me, I mean, we all of us on this panel this morning have been in cheer or dance. I was in dance for many years, and there is a right way to get to that position. Your body, it takes time. This is not something you can accomplish overnight.
And she's a freshman, so you know that they're just starting school.
Yes, and for these young ladies, I mean, your body is still growing at this period of your life. You're still going through different elements of when your hips are going to be turning out as you get a little older. You don't want to do permanent damage, God forbid. No. And, you know, the groin area is an incredibly sensitive space, and so if you force somebody into that position, it can do a lot of harm. And I know that this girl is okay now because we've seen her talk with her mother on different news outlets, but still there's a right way to go about this. And I'm worried that something like this is a culture that many other teams are seeing, because you cannot force your body into that position.
And have been seeing, I'm sure, right?
And at this age, you got to remember, it was 9th grade.
Yeah,
these are 9th graders. Yeah. In 9th grade, you don't really know what's best for your body or what techniques you should use. And a lot of times when you're in high school, you have these coaches who aren't that much older than you. Yeah. Sometimes you do have a dance or a cheer coach who's maybe she's a grown woman, has a job, kids,
administrator.
He competes at the local college.
Exactly. So he's probably at the oldest, 21, 22. So a lot of things, especially when it comes to your anatomy and the way the body works, you don't learn that until a little later. However, on cheer teams, depending on where you are, that team has a culture, that team has things that they already do. So when I first saw the video, I immediately thought, oh, so they probably have been doing this. Because to have everyone involved on the same page as far as holding her down and saying, yeah, you can do it and whatnot, this isn't a new thing then. This is something that has been done, or that a practice that is being done. And I would even go to the extent of asking, so the girl who was in the split, did she see someone in this split position before, and then it was automatically her turn.
So like a hazing process?
Not even because when hazing is when you're forced to do things against your will.
But I would consider that hazing with the way she reacted. She said, please stop, and no one was stopping.
But
maybe it didn't start as hazing, but then I think it could have turned
So she was like, okay, let's try this. And
maybe
all
we're just assuming and trying to piece things together. So I would like to know, is this something that the cheer squad has been doing? Is this something that, or is this something brand new? Did they just try this with the new girl, that she's the new one, and they're like, okay, we're going to try this right now with you, brand new? Or is this something that's ongoing?
And one thing that Rob Carlmark brought to our attention this morning, and we're going to start talking about your comments as well, because we see some of you weighing in. Rob Carlmark brought up the whole, when you send your child to school and you send them into these after-school activities and they're part of these clubs and teams, you expect that there is a level of, now you are taking care of my child. Yeah. I have given you my trust, and I'm doing this with the intention of knowing that my child is going to be okay in your guidance and in your hands for this period of time. And I think, I'm not yet a parent, but seeing this, I can imagine, and I've heard from other parents, how incredibly scary that can be when you think, what if this video didn't exist? Do you think this young girl would have gone home and told her mom what happened? I mean, maybe she would have been too ashamed.
And a ton of videos went to a local news station there, which is how they found out about the story. So my other thought is, why were there so many phones allowed at practice? I mean, I just think about when I was in that culture, being at cheer practice, it's like full in. If you're making your body do different things, like you're all in, you're focused. If the coach really knew what he was doing or knows what he's doing, he's making sure everyone's focused. So everyone had their phones out and are recording it. That to me was inappropriate, but alarming, because then they all started sending them, knowing it was concerning, to a local news station, which is how the story came about.
Right. That's the second piece. If this is a part of what was different today versus the day before or the practice before that, to the point where, okay, let's say this was something that was happening. You didn't send any news footage before, but you sent it today, versus if this has been going on, why just now today are you sending the footage? Right. Like, we need more information.
And when is too much? Too much.
Let's bring in the comments, because I see a lot of parents responding to this. First, Scotty says they can tear muscle and even tear tendons. Not a natural way. I took sports meds. It has been done in time. Okay. So he has some experience in that, and saying, this is something that you can't do overnight. Also, I am seeing Eddie, who said, Misty, who said, poor baby, I think the cheer coach needs to be fired. And again, Megan, you mentioned
5 are suspended at this point. The coach involved, I believe the principal, even, because leadership it starts at the top. So if you got to point fingers somewhere, you go, okay, yes, the coach, it may have been his fault, but who hired the coach? Right. And then who hired that? It's that trickle down effect. So again, 5 people at this Denver high school suspended this morning. But also, you see Kathleen S. Amos says, everybody involved should be fired watching too much Game of Thrones. It's interesting because the torture factor. When I see that as a sense of torture, and I can understand why you're bringing in different shows out there. You can, beyond Game of Thrones, you can talk about video games. You can talk about even what our kids are seeing on the news these days. I mean, there's that side of it, that okay, if you see it's okay. But again, when I watch this, I don't see it as the kids intending to hurt the child. I see it as them maybe trying to help her get to a certain level, but it was up to the coach to stop that.
Because the kids wouldn't have seen that, I don't think, in that moment. But the coach, says it's okay. You're in that position, you should have. Glenn McBurney says, this is wrong. If that was my daughter being treated like that, somebody would be choking on his teeth.
So my question is, what did the the daughter and her mom have to say about it? Because this has gone viral at this point. Everybody knows what happened, and now once it goes mainstream this way, the entire school district will potentially be involved. Now I'm interested to see what will happen in regards to this, because again, cheer culture, I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't a thing.
It's growing, that whole cheer culture, and it becoming a sport in most recent years, and especially down in Southern California where I'm from, it is competitive. I mean, there are multiple, just within my own region of Southern California in Rancho Cucamonga, there were a couple competitive squads, and it was like, I had it at the high school level. I didn't even compete on a competitive squad, but at the high school level, we had to make sure we threw a round off that handspring back tuck in order to make the squad. And this is as a freshman at that level. So I was there at the gym throwing it, knowing that my body wasn't ready to go there. Like, I wasn't ready to throw that back tuck, but when it came to tryouts and that mat was laid out and my mom was out there and my best friends were out there and everyone had already made the team, if I didn't throw that tuck, I wasn't going to make the team. So there I am, putting my life basically, you can hurt yourself between the cracking of the neck. I threw it. I always landed it at tryouts, but when it got to game, I never threw it because it was this fear factor. So to be forced to do something that you're not ready to do is terrifying. And like you said, it can have effects on the body. Rob is actually chiming in from his seat over there.
Yes, and real quickly, I want to mention too, I thought that this woman, this young girl, hadn't been hurt. Her parents, to reporters, said that she did injure her leg. So she did have, they said, my husband and I want to know what the administration is going to do about my daughter's injury and how it happened. That was part of the email they sent. So yeah, she did hurt herself, unfortunately. Okay. All right, you said Rob's chiming in?
Yeah, go ahead and read some because I'm going to sift through this story really quick to see if there are any updates.
Yeah, okay, so Garcia asked, she said, I didn't see the video, but was it a requirement to be a cheerleader to learn the splits? Are people mad at the splits or the way the girl was treated? So I think the story, at least that we're telling, isn't that it was about the splits, it was about the way they went about getting her to do this particular move. We can show the video again. I don't know, producer Brady, if you're able to pull that up one more time. Just for the people who are just joining us, can we do that real quick? Okay, we're going to pull that up for you.
This year would have been his first year coaching. We're talking about the coach at East High School, again in Denver, Colorado. He was placed on leave, and you may recognize the coach in the video because he has become known in the community by doing a ton of backflips down the field during Broncos and CU football games.
Himself.
Okay. Therefore, he came on board to this high school and said, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be a high school cheer coach.
And coming from the collegiate level, it's different.
They're ready. They're ready to compete. So let's go ahead and cue up that video one more time.
No. It's gonna make it worse.
Need her inhaler.
I know they blurred the faces, but you could see people smiling. Like they thought that this was funny, you know? Right. And so that's what's a little disturbing, I think, from the coach's standpoint. You need to step in and know when somebody is screaming in pain like that, whether or not it's, you know, something that someone else did before and was fine with it, I think there needs to be a line drawn somehow.
I want to know what happened moments before this video as well. Because if the girl was there going, okay, I don't care what I'm doing, just make me do it. Make sure I don't get up. Force me down. Again, like Cornelia, you're saying, you don't know your own body.
You don't know your body. Watch it. There's always a beginning. When we get the video, there's always the beginning. So again, my question is this a thing that they've been doing?
But even if it is, does it make it right?
No, it does not make it right, but then that explains why someone would feel that they need to put themselves in this situation in the first place. Because it's peer pressure, it's wanting to belong, it's you're a freshman, you're new to the school, I want to be a part. It explains the story, because otherwise you're going to look at the little girl and say, why would you even do this to yourself? Why would you even allow them to do this? If this is a part of the culture, then you can understand the discussion around peer pressure.
And Jessica said, with the others laughing, that's called bullying. So then it turns into that conversation as well. So a lot of good comments, you guys. Thank you for chiming in.
Yes, as parents have for months launched complaints towards the school administration and the coach himself. And then on August 22nd, the Denver news station, 9 News, which is our sister station, Denver police launched their investigation. So on August 22nd, 9 News requested numerous records related to those complaints in the cheer team from East High School. So thank you for continuing this conversation. As we learn more, we will inform you. But for now,